All right, what's going on, everybody? It's your good old boy JR coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. As always, it is a pleasure to talk to you guys on this wonderful Thursday or pre Friday, as some people like to call it. I want to thank you guys that are going to be tuning in, whether it's on the YouTube page or the Instagram Live with Brandon. But it is pick number 5. We are ready to go. The Chargers are on the clock today. We are excited to bring this pick. More importantly, because this is the time where the Chargers made a lot of changes, staff, players, everything. So it's going to be a fun episode. I cannot wait. So today it will be the Chargers. Brandon will be joining us on Instagram Live at the All Sports Talk podcast on Instagram Live if you want to catch us there. Or if you want to catch us on the YouTube page for the Jack's Wild Sports Show, that's where I will be at. So you have two chances or two ways to view this today. Brandon will be joining us here in a little bit, like I said. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get this started. Actually, speaking of which, here he is. Brandon, what's going on, man? How you doing today, man? How's it going? Man, I already burned my bracket. I already burned it. To the point where I had Marquette at least going to the Sweet 16. It's over. Yeah. I didn't have them winning the whole thing, but I thought for sure at least Sweet 6 or. Did you take Kentucky? Oh, well, I gotta break it to you. I think Oakland's up right now. Yeah, I think Oakland's up right now. Yeah, it's March Madness. Well, I mean, hey, you're doing a lot better than most people across the country, so all good. Yeah, I don't think nobody was ready for that one. That one was like, oh, hey. I'll tell you what though, Vegas is making a lot of money because of these underdogs. I'll tell you what, there's a underdog is going hard today, so good for them. Yeah, that's man. I'll tell you what though, March Madness, gotta love it. You know what else is madness? This Chargers off season. Are you ready for this? Oh yes, yeah, yeah, we have time. You can go into it. Go ahead. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, right? I mean, you can't have it both ways. Well, then if you want to discount records, then honestly, then yeah, out of all the talent, Michael Penix Jr. is probably the more talented thrower in the draft class. Well, no, that's not what I mean. It's like, well, I mean, then what are we going for here? Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? You can't have it both ways. Like you can't. Well, records don't count. Well, okay, then why doesn't Drake make deserve to be number one? Why doesn't if okay? Well, forget the records. Then we're talking about talent. then what are we looking at Michael Penix Jr. then? Then what do you view Michael Penix Jr.? So I mean, what are we really doing? What are we doing? And people want to forget CJ Stroud actually, out of all the quarterbacks that Georgia faced that year, which was Georgia the best defense in college football history, if he had a kicker, yeah, I mean, but then that's last year around this time, people were like, "Well, I'm sorry, I'd rather take Max Duggan than CJ because this, and that," and I'm like, "You really okay? Cool, you can have him. I mean, have I'd rather have true generational talent than whatever you guys are smoking." Well, Utah, but that's about it. Yeah, for me, here when it comes to there was for me, Stroud, Bryce Young, to me were the only quarterbacks I looked at and said, yeah, it might. They can start because they are ready for the NFL. Not that they're going to be good, but they're ready for the NFL. This year's quarterback draft class, I think it would be beneficial if all of them maybe sit a year or two because they're talented, yeah. But I think it'd be beneficial if they did sit because I don't think there's one quarterback in this draft class where it's like, oh, he's ready to start. No, no, not at all. Now, does that mean that they're not going to play well? No, that's not what I'm saying either. What I'm saying is, I think for their progress, I think you might want to send them a year just to see, just so they can get comfortable with it. But obviously, that's not going to be the case because when you're drafted so high, you have to play right away. It does not matter. Yeah, and see that's the thing. Like even to me, where I still think, yeah, I know he's the most talented, but I think it'd still be beneficial for him to sit a year to one get healthy, right? And here's the thing, right? Because then you give the fans a little bit of hope, like, okay, well, let's just see what he's got, and then you go from there. You get a little sample size, and then you could feel pretty confident that okay, he played well. Now let's give him a full off season, and now that he's got the little, and that's the thing, right? Like to me, the only quarterback in my eyes where can be like, okay, he's ready to play, and he's not even the most talented, and that's Drake May. I'm like, Drake May's ready to play because I think he can handle the NFL lifestyle and the NFL pressures. But even I still think, nah, he's got to sit a year because he's gonna go into it. He's gonna go into a shitty. Well, if my reality happens, if my world happens, and he goes number one, he's going into a situation where, yeah, your receivers are great, your running game's important. It's just your offensive line is still kind of still up in the air, and the issue is your defense is still a work in progress as well. So, and don't get me wrong, I like what Chicago's doing defensively. Like, don't get me wrong, I like what they're going to try to do defensively. It's just, is there some pieces that they still need? Yeah, 100%. It's just even that situation. It's like no, but that's the thing. There's not a quarterback I'm looking like last year. I'm like, nah, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, they're ready to play football. I think he is. I thought he's ready. It's just I knew when we did our mock draft last year, I had CJ Stroud one, you had Anthony Richardson one, and we got killed for it. And it's like, well, no, Bryce Young is ready to play. The issue is that you went to a really shitty team. Like you went to a very shitty situation. And no, that's not going to happen. Now, CJ Stroud went to a shitty situation too, but at that point, you can tell, hey, there's a reason I had CJ Stroud at number one is because, well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know like what it is. Like when a lot of these quarterbacks come out, it's like, well, he came from Ohio State. And I'm like, yeah, because USC does any better at quarterbacks? I mean, come on. Like the best USC quarterback I've ever seen play was Carson Palmer. And even then, people would be like, he wasn't a bust. It's just Cincinnati just didn't want to build for whatever reason. Like they just didn't want to do anything. Now, when he got to the Raiders, at that point, he just came in a situation where it's like, dude, we just lost our owner. Our head coach is literally the owner right now. Or we don't even know. I didn't even know who Mark Davis was until the press conference. Like, I was like, he has a son? Holy shit. I didn't know who Mark Davis was until like he had that press conference. Like, yeah, I'm Al Davis's son. He's gonna be the general manager. He made Hugh Jackson general manager and head coach. And well, you know how that turned out. We know how that turned out. And we were going through a really weird phase, and we needed a quarterback. Now, I will say this: if Jason Campbell did not get hurt, I think the Raiders were going to the playoffs that year. I seriously thought in my mind, there were seriously thoughts in my mind. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. If Jason Campbell never suffered that stinger in that Cleveland Browns game, I seriously thought, oh my God, I think the Raiders are actually going to the playoffs because the year prior, we just missed it by a game. And this year, we were actually ahead like 3-4 games. And we're like, oh, this is great. And then he got hurt. And I'm like, all right, well, look, we're 6-2. Carson Palmer just has to come in and just win 3 games, and then we ended up going 8-8 again. And I'm like, fuck is this shit? Like, you really? Like, I'm not mad at Palmer for that. It's just understand the situation. It's like, dude, like, you didn't show up for training camp at Cincinnati. You were basically retired, and the only way we could have gotten you was to give up a first rounder for you. So I'm not mad at Palmer. If anything, I respect Palmer for trying to, like, I actually respect Palmer for trying to, like, try to make the situation better, but it just wasn't. And then the next year we go like 3-13, and it was like, okay, Carson, you're good to go, bro. We're good. We're good, bro. Like, it's fine. It's fine, dude. And then it was just crazy from then on there. It was just crazy. But hey, listen, for all the crap people give about Palmer, I actually respect Palmer because it's not easy to miss OTAs, miss training camp, try to come to a team that just lost their leader, because Jason Campbell was their leader. And I'm going to be honest with you. When we traded for Jason Campbell, I'm like, I don't know, man. I think Washington just fucked him up too much. But he was actually playing really good with us. And I was just kind of like, where the fuck was this Jason Campbell in Washington? For that little 2-3 year stretch that Jason Campbell was with us, we were actually like competitive. I'm like he's making it work with like guys with like Chaff Shillings and Lewis Murphy and Darius Hayward Bay. Who is this guy? Like, who is this guy? Like, he was making it work. I mean, he was making it work. So, I mean, I respect Campbell. I respect Palmer, because those are not easy situations to come into. And, kudos to them and everything. But, when it comes to the whole Caleb Williams thing, for me, it's whatever. Like, I already said my piece about it. And you could try to defend him until you're blue. I'm going to wait until let's see what happens when they actually get on the field. And then, 2-3 years from now, we'll see who was right and who was wrong. I mean, listen, I've been wrong before on prospects. I literally went out there. I put my neck out there and said, man, I think Sammy Watkins is going to be the next, Chris Carter. And it totally flopped. It totally flopped on me, bro. It flopped, I've had terrible, predictions. Who hasn't? Everybody. When you do this long enough, you're always gonna have terrible, like look backs. You're gonna be like, I remember when I first started doing this is before I even met you. When I did my first year of the mock draft, and when Kavion Chason, the former first rounder from Jacksonville, the linebacker, I literally put my neck out there and said, I know he fell to Jacksonville like at 16 or 17, but the Jaguars drafted the future defensive player of the year, and it just bombed, man. It took a bomb on me, baby. It just went so south. But that's how it is. That's how it is, man. That's it. We won't know. You just like because of what you see on tape. But sometimes you just have a weird feeling that sometimes it's just not going to work out. Here's the thing, and I said this once, Patrick Mahomes wasn't even Patrick Mahomes when he came out of Texas Tech, okay? When he came out of Texas Tech, Colin Cowherd and almost every sports show was like, what was Kansas City doing, trading from 26 to 10 just to get this guy who's never been over 500, has a 1 touchdown to 1 interception ratio. His last year, I think he had more turnovers than touchdowns. And that's just like, he's going to Kansas City. Like, it's not like he's going to play right away. And it's like, yeah, but Kansas City needed more help, needed more of this, so they could be Super Bowl contenders. Yes, because the last 3 years of Alex Smith under center getting eliminated in the wild card was enough to now this first round rookie is going to be the reason they get to the Super Bowl. No, they just want to secure their future. Now, did I think that Patrick Mahomes was going to be Patrick Mahomes? I didn't think it was going to be this. I thought he was going to be a very good quarterback. This, I was not ready for. I was like, whoa, this dude is like killing it. I thought he was going to be, and the only reason I thought he was going to be good is like because he's got Andy Reid. Like he's Andy Reid is going to make sure you don't fail. Like that's Andy Reid, right? He's going to make sure that you do not fail. And guess what? Nick Foles and they all made Michael Vick and they all made the playoffs under it. So if you can make the playoffs with a Kevin Kolb as your starting quarterback, I'm going to believe you know what you're doing when evaluating quarterbacks. I'm going to believe you. So for me, it's just what it is. I think we lost Brandon there a little bit. He'll be back. Hopefully he comes back and everything. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think when it comes to the whole Caleb Williams thing, listen. I've said my piece already. I think he's okay. I'm not gonna fall in love with him because I don't. He's just not my type of quarterback. He's not. It's just I don't see him as being like the next franchise dude just yet. I think it'd be beneficial for him if he sat a couple, seasons, maybe a season or two. But that's just my take on it. That is just strictly my take on it. So Brandon will be back. It looks like we lost him for the on the Instagram live page. So we will try to get him back a little bit later. But let's get into this Chargers team. The Chargers, you want to talk about madness in March. The Chargers season was everything plus a little bit more. The Chargers finishing 5-12, last in the AFC West with the 21st offense and the 24th defense. Brandon Staley finishing his last tenure at 5-9. They decided to fire him after that Thursday night debacle, and then Giff Smith took over the last 3 games, and it was terrible. To put it nicely, it was terrible. The Chargers season the last few weeks was bad. And it was also due to the fact that Justin Herbert was gone. A lot of players were hurt. And that's just what it is. Brandon, you good? All good? Okay. It's all good. It's all good. No, I'm just getting into the Chargers, 5-12, 21st on offense, 24th on defense. Brandon Staley finished his last tenure there 5-9. And then Giff Smith took over the final 3 games, and they just ended 0-3. And it was a lot of reasons why why it just didn't work. There was a lot of reasons. One, injuries, of course. Especially when you lose Justin Herbert, that's always a bummer. Obviously your receivers were getting hurt. Mike Williams was gone. I think week 4. I think week 4 or something. I know it was early in the season. That ACL, so that's gone. Keenan Allen got hurt down the stretch of the year, missing the final 5 games. Eckler in and out of the lineup. You could kind of tell that they were ready to move on from him with how they were using him this year. So, overall, there were some good things and there were some bad things. I think the one thing that gets me was the whole Brandon Staley thing. I think that still gets me because, a week prior to that game, he went on this little mini tirade saying, I am the head coach. I deserve to be the head coach. No, we were already talking about firing you after after week 6. We were already dump, the Charger fans were already dump you. It was bad. And, he went on this little tirade yeah, I deserve to be the head coach. I am still the head coach and this and that. And then, the following week, Thursday Night Football. Well, you know how hard it is to score 70 points, 63 points in a professional matter? You understand how hard that is, right? Like in football, like understand how hard that is. That's like 10 goals in hockey. That is like 20 home runs in baseball. That is like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. That's just no. You know, that's it's damn near impossible. But the Broncos did it with the Dolphins did it with 70. The Raiders did it with 63. And after the press conference, you know, same thing. And here's the thing. I like that the same reporter still asked him, "Do you still think you deserve to be the head coach?" Because last week he asked that question, like, "Hey, do you think?" Yeah, I am the head coach. Whatever you guys want to write, you know. He got in this little tirade, and the following that after that Thursday night ass whooping, like that same reporter, "Okay, Coach Staley, I'm going to ask you again. Do you still think you deserve to be the head coach?" And then he responded, "We'll see." Well, literally like 5 hours after the game, he got fired. Like literally, I got home, had my late night dinner, went to bed, woke up, he was fired. I'm like, did y'all just leave him like at Caesar's Palace or some shit? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, y'all just leave him at Caesar's or some shit? Like, damn. Like, damn, brother, damn. You know, so it was a lot. It was simply a lot. It was just too much. I think the Chargers knew it was time. And then they fired Tom Telesco. So it's a whole new era with the Charger. It's a whole new thing. But the positive is, Justin Herbert is still in the building. Like that's the positive, right? Like that's still the positive. And look at this. Even in 13 games, he still threw for over 3,000 yards, 3,134 to be exact, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, to go along with 228 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. And this is all in 13 games. So it's not like statistically he didn't have a bad year. He just kept getting hurt. He just got hurt at the wrong time. Austin Eckler, well, yeah, that's why they were ready to move on. Now, he did get a total of, of 1,000 scrimmage yards, 628 rushing, 5 touchdowns to go along with 51 receptions, 436 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then Keenan Allen doing Keenan Allen things, 108 receptions, 1,243 yards, and 7 touchdowns. My man, we'll get to the Eagles down the road. And I hope you'll be joining for us on that episode because I'm pretty sure Brandon has a lot to say. Now, here's the thing. Defensively for the Chargers, they're really not that bad. They're really not that bad. Derwin James, 125 combined tackles, 1 pick, 2 sacks. We like Derwin. I like Derwin. I mean, I know he plays for the Chargers and my team's the Raiders, but I like Derwin. Khalil Mack, 17 sacks. He found his rhythm again. And then Aloy Gilman, Asante Samuel Jr., 2 interceptions. So it's not like the Chargers are bad. I just think what happened in reality was they just didn't have the right guy at the ship. Majority of the times you'll hear me say this. It's either the team or it's something else. Because it can't be both. It's either the team is bad and the coaching staff is trying everything they can, but it's not working out. Or the players are fine. It's just this coaching staff. It's just no. And I'll give you an example. Everything that's wrong with Tennessee was not Mike Vrabel and his staff's fault. Nothing to do with Mike Vrabel at all. In this instance, I think Brandon Staley just brought the worst out of these guys. I mean, you have players that are being like in the locker room getting interviewed going, so, I mean, how do you feel about this team? It's like, well, I mean, I feel like the team has a talent, but, I guess some people are just afraid to go get that talent. And we know what he was talking about. It's no secret that the Los Angeles Charger players from last year did not care for Brandon Staley. They didn't care. And why should they? They busted their ass to put up these incredible numbers. And for the third year in a row, it was pretty apparent after that playoff game, you lost the locker room. You lost the locker room. So, Brandon, your thoughts on this season for the Los Angeles Chargers? It, hey, look, man, 17 sacks is still pretty hard to go by, though. I mean, that's literally a sack a game. So, I mean, not all is lost. Like, you'll never see that again. You will never see that again. You will never see that again. There's some games this year that happen. It's like you'll never see it again. I promise you. I'm willing to bet you $1,000 you will never see this type of game again. You will never see a game like that one. You'll never see a game where a game ends 3-0. Two teams played 60 minutes. 3 points were scored. You want to know how embarrassing it is that you watch the replay of that and then you see the broadcast team? Well, if you were expecting an exciting matchup, you turn to another channel because that's right. What you're seeing right here is every offensive position from both teams. Punt, 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 fumble, punt, 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 interception, punt, 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 punt. I'm like, turnover on downs, punt, punt, punt. I'm like, yo, how does AJ Cole go from punting 16 times and then punting 0 times 4 days later? Like, I don't get it. That's the life of a punter, I guess. I don't know. But there's some games this year, like the Chargers Minnesota game, you'll never see again. You will never see that again. And if they do, both staffs have to be fired. You remember that South Park episode? We're going down. We're going to get cream. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, oh, my God. Somebody's going to win this game. Hang on, everybody. Somebody has to win this game. On the flip side of that, though, here's the deal, though. On the flip side, I'm glad Keenan Allen spoke out. You know why? You want to know why? He literally said, hey, man, why don't you just take a pay cut? I'm coming off my best year. I ain't doing that shit. Did you see who my head coach? I refuse to take a pay cut. Do you see who my head coach was? Do you see the situations that he put me through? Do you see the numbers that I put up this year? Hell no, I ain't taking no pay cut. Now, Joey Bosa. Now, the fact that Joey Bosa restructured, yeah, that's how it's supposed to go, motherfucker. Like, that's how it's supposed to be, motherfucker. Hell, yeah. When it comes to and here's the thing, it's not even. Brandon Staley's tenure is going to be remembered by three things. Three things. It's going to be remembered by three things. The first one, the fact that he decided to call a timeout. Could have taken the tie, but he took a timeout because he saw our personnel was in a run formation, and he wanted to put the best 11 players in that running formation. And on a third and fucking 3, Josh Jacobs picked up 12 fucking yards. 12 yards. Daniel Carlson kicks the field goal. And of course, Al Michaels with those famous lines. And the Raiders win. The Raiders are in. Chargers are out. Steelers are in. And I'm just like, all you had to do was take the tie, homie. And that was the saddest thing where Justin Herbert looked to the side and goes, I never wanted to tie so bad in my life. I never wanted to tie so bad in my life. And here's the thing. Justin Herbert was the best player on Sunday Night Football that game. And they still lost because Brandon Staley. Then fast forward 1 year later, your defense causes not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 motherfucking turnovers. And you still lose. Because you decided to keep throwing the ball knowing that your receivers were hurt. But Austin Ekeler was ready to run. They came back. And then fast forward, literally almost 1 calendar year later, 1 week prior to your Thursday night matchup against the Raiders. Hell yeah, I deserve to be the head coach. I am the head coach. I'm tired of you guys asking these questions. They're going to play how I play. And that's final. 1 week later. The final score is 63-21 on that unforgettable, forgettable Thursday night matchup against their old division rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders. And here we are. They fired him. So first order of business, the Chargers had to find a new head coach. They had to find a new man. And that new man, his name is Jim Harbaugh. And actually, give me 1 quick second, guys. I am so sorry about this. Here we go. All right, here we go. Yeah, so they hired a new coach, Jim Harbaugh. Just came off a national championship with Michigan. Has agreed to terms to become the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Brought his old defensive coordinator from Michigan, Jesse Minter, and hired Greg Roman as an offensive coordinator. Now, my thoughts on this hire is very simple. I don't think there's a problem with Jim Harbaugh being the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. If anything, I think this is great because it's exactly what Jim Harbaugh needs. It is a clean sheet of paper for this team, and we're going to get into that why it is a clean sheet. Jim Harbaugh is going to build this team the way he wants it built. And right now, I know there are a lot of Charger fans out there that are saying, well, why the hell should Jim Harbaugh be the head coach? Because he's had success in both the NFL, getting to a Super Bowl, 3 straight conference championships. He's had success. He just came off a national title. You guys have been the true definition of bitter disappointment, even when I was a kid. Terrible losses in the playoffs, terrible decisions in the offseason. And you guys are the true definition of a bitter disappointment where every year it seems like the Chargers on paper look like They are primed and ready to go for a deep playoff run. And yet here we are talking about them at number 5. So yes, Jim Harbaugh is the right coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. I have no problem with this. I have no problem with Jim Harbaugh being the head coach of this team. Because in true Charger fashion, I get it. There are Charger fans, again, that are going out there. Why does Jim Harbaugh deserve to be the head coach of the Chargers? Why? He's been out of the game for 10 years. Yes, I admit it. He has been out of the game for a while. I'll give you that. I will give you that. However, put this into perspective. This man, prior to him leaving the NFL, went to 3 straight NFC championship games, went to a Super Bowl, has now coached his way. Understand where the Michigan Wolverines were before Jim Harbaugh, and now look at Michigan now. They are national champions, always Big Ten. They have been Big Ten champions now for quite a while. And like I said, the Chargers are the true definition of a bitter disappointment. You guys had wonderful years, get eliminated in the playoffs early. You guys always seem to have the best roster in the AFC West. Last year, it looked amazing, and you guys flunked that too. So yeah, Jim Harbaugh, here's the thing. Whatever you guys are paying Jim Harbaugh, it is definitely not enough to come for that franchise. It's definitely not enough. So yeah, Jim Harbaugh deserves to be the head coach of this franchise. Brandon, your thoughts on this moves of Jim Harbaugh being the head coach? Stanford. Don't forget Stanford. Don't forget Stanford. I'm starting to think stealing signs and winning championships is sort of like a theme here. Houston did it. And it wasn't the fact that it's just college. It's the fact that he did it for his alma mater. He did it for the team that he wanted to win with. That was one of his dreams. He gave up his dream to win another one to coach this bitter disappointment of a franchise, of his existence. So yes, Charger fans, you don't deserve Jim Harbaugh, but he's going to make you guys into winners, and you guys are going to forget about this in 2 years. But here's the difference, though. You have to actually win some Super Bowls to be that. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. You got me there. Fuck it. It is what it is. I mean, fuck it. I mean, and the crazy thing is, if you really want to take it there, the Chargers have been to the Super Bowl more recently than the Dallas Cowboys, if you want to really take it there. People just don't remember that they lost to the 49ers. Oh, no, that's right. That's right. They are a year separate. That is right. Damn, that is right. I keep forgetting the last time Dallas won the Super Bowl because it has been literally that fucking long. It is literally. Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is a good situation for Jim Harbaugh because he is truly getting a clean sheet to build this franchise. And he's already got the most important part, the quarterback. He's already got the most important part. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be the most talented quarterback he's probably ever had. And that's including every quarterback he's ever had at Michigan and every quarterback he ever had in the NFL. So take it for what you may. Take it for what you may. This. I understand that, but talent-wise, who would you really want? Who would you really want, Brandon? Me, I'm taking Justin Herbert all day. Don't get me wrong, Colin Kaepernick was nice, but he even had to sit a couple of seasons to, you know. That was insane, by the way. That was insane, by the way. And here's the thing, I like this because, you know, and I get it. The free agency departures, I don't think nobody, I can't say that they had the roughest, but to say that the Chargers are having a rough offseason would be a total understatement. And let me tell you why. You lose Kenneth Murray to Tennessee. You lose Gerald Everett to Chicago. So the fact that Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett are going to be on the same fucking team next year is fucking insane. Austin Eckler is now going to Washington. Eric Hendricks is heading to Dallas. Mike Williams is heading to the Jets. You traded Keenan Allen to Chicago for a 4th round pick, by the way. 4th round. Now, on the bright side, you know. Oh, and by the way, Bradley Bozeman is or not Bradley Bozeman. Corey Lindsey is retiring because due to health conditions. So that's that now. Gus Edwards from Baltimore, he's now coming to the Chargers. Denzel Perryman is coming back to the Chargers on a 1-year contract, you know, after doing his thing in Houston. Bradley Bozeman is now going to be the new center for the Los Angeles Chargers. And then Hayden Hurst is going to be the new tight end for the Chargers and everything. And then you also re-signed Eloy Gilman, who led your team in interceptions, and Easton Stick, who I don't know why you would want to do that because I think he's more fitted for the UFL, but fuck it. It's your franchise. Do what you want. Do what you fucking want. All right? Do what you want. Easton Stick would be a 5-time UFL XFL champion. I mean, for God's sakes, Brandon. God's sakes, man. I was there that game. That was the first time in my life where I said, you know, if I ever want to know what capital punishment looks like, this is it. This is it. This is what capital punishment looks like. Like this is capital punishment by like the highest degree. Like, please stop. I mean, it's not my franchise, so go ahead, fuck it, do what you want. I guess I don't know, but above all else, you do what you want. But no, what I'm saying is, I think for Jim Harbaugh, I don't think Charger fans understand it yet, but this is a great hire for the future of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Age does scare me a little bit when it comes to Jim Harbaugh. Now, he does look in great shape. Like, I will say that. He still looks good. But, man, life is funny like that sometimes. You know, knock on wood that nothing happens to him. Because Gary Kubiak, to me, was like one of the healthiest dudes. And he almost died on national television one year. Like, so, again, health is a crazy motherfucker, okay? But I like this. It's a clean... Now, do I expect anything from Los Angeles? Do I expect anything from the Chargers next year? We'll see. You know, we'll wait for that. It's too early to tell. I mean, there's already some pages that like have the Chargers like at 0.1% that they're going to make the playoffs. So it's like, okay, so you say that there's no fucking hope. All right. That's good for you. But, I'm going to wait until the draft is over and then once training camp starts and actually look at the rosters and see how it goes. Well, I mean, here's the funny thing. Here's the flip side to that. Sean Merriman goes on a fucking show and says that this is the Chargers division to lose this year, and I'm like, well, hey, you know what? A broken clock is twice wrong. A broken clock is right once a day at least. Shit, like, come on, you know. Well, they don't have an identity. Well, his first year with San Francisco was sort of it was a little unforgettable. It was like, well, remember they're trying, and then they hit on a couple draft picks. They had a good free agency class, and bada bing, bada boom, they made it. They made it. Yeah, it was a little unforgettable. Yeah, I mean it's they're gonna have to hit on a couple draft picks. They're gonna have to make it work, and then who knows? Maybe the sky is the limit for the Chargers at this point. I mean, who's to say? Who's to say a Super Bowl is not in the future for the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh? Who's to say? He's been there. He's done it. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying. With Jim Harbaugh, I like this hire. I really do. I know a lot of Charger fans are not too hyped about it or too excited about it, but let him build it. Let him now. On the flip side, if it doesn't work out here, then honestly, he can always go back to Michigan. Like, I'm not even gonna front about that. He can always go back to Michigan. Like, that's like Michigan is always gonna have a place for Jim Harbaugh. All right, so let's just leave it out there. All right. Oh, of course they are. So let's see where it goes from here. Let's just see where it goes from here. Now, to the most important thing. I took a really long time on who to write here on the card. I took a long time here. Like, I really went back and forth with myself. And I have to see I have to see where this goes now. So, Brendan, here we go. It is now that time. Who do you have the Chargers picking at number 5? Here we go. And let's be real, he was not fast enough to play slot. Like, no. And I always take what you said last year. If you would have put Quentin Johnson in Minnesota and you would have put Jordan Addison in the Chargers, that would have been better fit for each of those guys. Like, Jordan Addison is fine. Like, he is fine. But in the Charger system, he would have killed it in the slot. And then with Quentin Johnson working number 2 and Justin Jefferson is next to him, it would have been fine. Now, Justin Jefferson did get lost for a little bit, but that would have been the plan. But I just didn't see him fitting with the Chargers because I'm like, well, he's not a slot dude. He's an strictly outside type of cat. So, what are we really talking about here? Whew. Whew. And I think what's crazy about Rome, I think he's actually the better deep ball catcher than Malik and Marv Harrison. Like the dude is a tough contested catch type of dude. Like oh, his numbers were amazing. I mean, dude, like no, I'll even take one farther before that. It was literally against Oregon where he did something and it looked not too far from him, and he still made the tough contest over and I'm just like, wow, he's got good hands, man. Like, wow, he's got good hands, bro. That's unfortunate for Oregon. Like, that's unfortunate for Oregon, but it's gonna look great on the Sports Center top 10. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like, that's what it is, right? Like, wow, that's unfortunate for Oregon. But man, that highlight on Sports Center top 10 is gonna look great. Like, damn. Like, don't get me wrong, great throw, way better catch, way better catch, man. That's like wow. You well, here's the thing: you can't teach that. You can't teach that. Like that's that's natural given talent. But yeah, no, it's yeah. Roma Duzun from Washington is like wow. When I look at Rome, though, I kind of see like a nicer Steve Smith because that's all Steve Smith did throughout his career was just make the tougher contested catches more than any receiver. And Rome already showed you, hey, when it comes to 50, there is no 50-50 ball when it comes to Rome. It's 100-0, meaning it's his ball. Like, it is his ball. Like, there's nothing you can do. It is his fucking ball. Like, you can have two defenders on him. You can do whatever you want. He's gonna come with it. I don't know how he comes with it, but he just comes with it. Like, behold, our new All Pro wide receiver. Like, yeah, that I mean, like I said, I like Rome. I really do. I like Rome. It's and like you said, you could put the stats up, and you didn't have if you didn't watch a game, and you put the stats up, you would have thought that Rome was the best wide receiver in the country because every week he just did something. You're just like, the fuck, like the fuck. And people are going to take it away because it's like, well, he had Michael Penix, he had Jalen McGillen, and he had the other homeboy, Paulix, or whatever his name is. Here's the deal, though. He's the guy. You don't, how he catches, you can't teach that. That's just natural to him. Like, he was, out of the three, Malik, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Rome, and which is funny because Marvin Harrison Jr., his father is Marvin Harrison. All three play wide receiver, but it looks like Rome was born to be a fucking wide receiver. Like, he was born to do that shit. Like, you gotta be kidding. Like, you just look at some players and you're like, yeah, you were born to do this. Like some people were born to be like power forwards and shooting guards. Rome was made to be a wide receiver. Like, that's just how it is. There's no denying it. There's no denying it. Like, okay, yeah. Every year I come out and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe he could do good or maybe he could do this. And I don't really like it. But then there's sometimes I just walk away like, yeah, no, this dude was born to, this dude was born to be what he plays. Like, that's just straight up. Like, and the thing with Rome, it's like you could put him anywhere. You can put him inside. You can put him outside. You can put him anywhere you want. And he's going to make the catch. He will beat press. He will beat off press. He will beat zone. He will do it. Now, I know what a lot of people are saying. It's like, oh, well, he doesn't get separation. That's why he has so many contested balls. Okay, great. Great. That's what the NFL is. I mean, how open is open? Here's the thing. People see college and it's like, oh, well, look at him. He's going to be great. But then when you get to the NFL, I'm going to put it to you guys very gently. If you see a receiver 30 yards down the field and no one's around him, it's because it was a busted defensive play. It was a busted defensive play. All right. I have no problems with Rome here. I think it's a great pick. So for me, I looked at everything. I looked at defense, especially edge, because we don't know how long Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are going to be there. I looked at corner because, well, would it be too early? Because Asante Samuel Jr. does need another partner. He does need his number 2 guy. I looked at offensive line. I looked at defensive line. I like I said, I looked everywhere because I'm like, God, this is not every year where it's like, okay, well, this is the Chargers' only glaring hole. No, there's some pretty glaring holes this year. Like, it was pretty tough. I thought offensive linemen, like, well, if I take a kid, can I put him on the right side? Or if I take this kid, can I put Rashawn Slater on the right side? But then I looked at one position group where I'm like, yeah, there's some holes, but this one is like burning my eye sockets right now. Like, it is burning. So for me, with the 5th pick in this year's NFL draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU. Look, man, your receivers on the team right now for the Chargers, it is Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnson, Semi Fehoko, and Darius Davis. Those last 2 names sound like auto-generated Madden players. Like, yo, what? So I know that's foul, but I'm not saying that they're bad players because they're talented. They're in the NFL, but it's like, dude, there's no way that's your name. Like, I need ID proof that is your fucking name, like a license or something. Now, here's the thing. So I think, I asked the question, can a team double dip? And I think the Chargers are going to be one of those teams where they double dip, but for all the right reasons. Some teams double dip because they can't get it right. the Chargers need a double dip because they actually need help in this position. Like they really do. You know, and the thing is too, you took 57% of Justin Herbert's offense away from him. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and Gerald Everett are all gone now. 57% of that offense, those yardage, is gone. So he's gonna have to make it up. And here's the thing: I like Malik Nabers. You know, he's 6 foot, 200, solid, unanimous All-American in 2023, first team All-ACC in 2023, 89 receptions, 1,569 yards, 4 touchdowns. Basically, what that means, he can go from anywhere. He can go outside, he can play inside. And I think that's just what the Chargers need right now. They just need to figure it out, man. I get it. There's a lot of holes for the Chargers, but that one position group, I'm just like, all right, look, man. You're not going to get running back at 5. You're not doing that. Could you maybe go for the tight end at Georgia? Maybe, but then you're selling yourself short. Could you go for one of the top offensive linemen in this year's draft? Yeah, you could. And then you just have to pray that a wide receiver falls to the second. Then you just have to do that. Could you go defense and maybe get a future, your future pass rusher once Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa leave? Maybe. But it's just, with this group individually, that is a terrible. It's like, Chuck says in the NBA, it's terrible, man. Like this is bad. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. It's pretty glaring that that's their biggest need. And I think Quentin Johnson is going to get more comfortable this year. Now that Keenan and Mike Williams are gone, I think, he's going to go solely on the outside. He doesn't have to worry about switching. He's just strictly and outside guy. Malik Nabers, you can do whatever you want with him. And don't forget Joshua Palmer. He's actually a decent wide receiver. So it's now the other two, I have no idea who they are, and I'm so sorry. I should know, but I don't know. Like, I don't know who they are. I don't. Like I want to say that ESPN, when I looked at the depth chart, they were fucking with me, dude. Like, they're fucking with me, right? Like, no, this is the official ESPN website. Like, goddamn, like, they're really messing with me today. But no, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So I think for me, I think this is a need. I truly think this is a need. And for better or worse, this is something that the Chargers have to do. They have to do it. I understand. There's more. I think put it like this. I think there's better players for the Chargers here. But I just think you have to pull the trigger here, because if you don't, you have to pray that everything else goes your way. And I don't think you want to risk losing one of those 2 receivers that we named. Like, sure, we'll be happy that if you take Joe Alt or, the kid from Penn State, sure, we'll be happy for you. But then you really want to take a risk with Troy Franklin? Xavier Worthy, maybe? Adon Mitchell? The kid from South Carolina? Like, you could take that chance, but are they as good as Malik? Probably not. Probably not. You could do that too. I mean, there's talks about Keane Coleman maybe falling out. I mean, you can wait and maybe he gets there. I don't know. So I don't know. I truly don't know. I just think for me, when it comes to this situation, I think there's better opportunities to get a better player. But I just think because this is such a glaring hole on this team, it would have been one thing if you would have kept Mike or Keenan. But the fact that you got rid of both of them, you gotta try to fix that quick and as quick as you can. So I'm gonna go with Malik Nabers here at number 5. They're not. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Why can't you? Yes, you can. Like you can look at your roster right now and be like, yeah, I got a receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., Roman Duzin, and Malik Neighbors on your roster right now. You have one right now. You're just lying through your teeth. You're lying through your teeth. Straight up. Like you're just trying to like get fired, bro. Like, okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you, you know? Yeah, no, I think there's no wrong answers here for a receiver, especially the top three receiver. I don't think there's a wrong answer. So, is it now in your case the fact that you went receiver, like, whoa, like 3, 4, 5, like damn, like that's it, like that's it. Now for me, Rome is still out there, so could he be a Giant tomorrow? I don't know. Could he be a Giant? I don't know. I already got my mind. You actually not gonna believe this, but I already have my mind made up for these guys too. There's no doubt in my mind. There's only one direction. The Giants should fucking go. One. Like Roman Reigns. You know, there's only one direction. And it's probably going to piss off a lot of Giant fans tomorrow because of the direction I'm thinking of them going. But remember, whenever I do these picks, I do it for the betterment of the future. You know, I do it for the betterment of the future. You know, I try to think big picture here. I don't, not immediate, you know, there's a big picture to this. You know, like my brother says, you know, like he always tells me, it's like, man, like you think long term, you think big picture. Like, yeah, well, you know, the NFL, you know, people want it now. It's now. No, I'm trying to set up something to where, you know, 15 years from now, we're still not struggling. We're still one of the better teams. We're, you know, our biggest rival back then is now on the bottom because they didn't think of the future, you know. So I'm not the Giants, I'm good. Tennessee, I'm ready to go. Falcons, I'm ready to go. Really, when it comes down to is Chicago, the Jets, and the Vikings. I'm getting there right now and I'm going, listen, man, do what you got to do in real life. But I'm telling you right now, this is why I don't think you should do it. Don't do it. Because then I'll see you again in 3 years. You know, I'll see you again 3 years at even a higher pick. So, yeah, don't listen to me. I'm nobody. I'm just the guy that had CJ Stroud #1 last year. But people thought I was fucking insane. But all right, whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. I'm just saying. I mean, hey, do what you got to do, right? But no, I will say this. For the Giants, I'm pretty comfortable with my pick for the Giants tomorrow. I'm pretty good. Like I said, there's only one direction the Giants should go. People are not going to like it. People don't think it's going to be the sexiest pick. But for God's sakes, you got to do it. You have to fucking do it, man. You have to do it. It's fucking disgusting what I saw last year. It's fucking disgusting. All right? Terrible. But that's tomorrow. So just to recap, Brandon went with the wide receiver from Washington. I went with Malik Neighbors at 5. So you guys tell us here. Who would you guys rather have? the wide receiver from Washington, the wide receiver from LSU, or would you pick somebody else at 5? Would you take the tight end from Georgia? Would you take, an offensive lineman here? Would you take a defensive player here? Let us know. Let us know. We're always open for conversation. But that's going to do it today for the Los Angeles Chargers. Tomorrow, we will head into the New York Football Giants. I got to make sure, because if I just say Giants, people are going to think San Francisco now. It's just, or the Tokyo Giants, depending if you watch Major League or not. But, hey, it is what it is. No, we're talking about the New York Football Giants tomorrow, after that year that they had. So, Brandon did claim their downfall. He thought what this year was supposed to be last year. So, but now they're in a worse situation because they committed to Daniel Jones. Yay. Yay. Oh, they're committed. They're committed. That's okay. It's not like Saquon went to, God damn it! How did that happen? And they're not gonna eliminate the tush push. God damn it! And Saquon's got bigger quads than the running backs. It's not fair. It is the NFL. Life is not fair, but that's okay. We'll talk about the Giants tomorrow. We'll go from there. Brandon, as always, my man, it is awesome to talk to you. You have a wonderful night. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow for the New York Giants. Until then, please take care of yourselves, everybody. Have a wonderful night.